What's going on, everybody? It's Jonathan from OT for Tech, and today you're going to be watching one of my favorite comparison videos I've ever done. Today we're going to compare the 2014 Motorola Moto X against the infamous OnePlus One. Both are technically budget devices, even though the off-contract price for the Moto X is a bit steeper than the OnePlus One. However, both offer a similar experience with positives and negatives to each. To begin, let's start with availability. The Motorola Moto X is available on all four major US carriers, starting at a $99.99 on-contract price. You can also purchase the Pure Edition starting at $499 for the 16GB model, and it can be used on most GSM carriers. However, the LTE bands are a bit limited. The $499 price also goes for the off-contract version of the Moto X. The OnePlus One is available unlocked for a ridiculous $349 price tag for the 64GB model, which can be used on GSM networks only but has a wide array of LTE bands. There's also a 16GB model that has yet to be released, and that will retail for $299. The pre-orders will start soon for the 64GB version. The design of each phone is very different. The Moto X having the Moto Maker website to customize your accents, and the backplate with the available selections of wood, leather, and several different colors. The 64GB OnePlus One is only available in sandstone black, which has a sandpaper feel to it. It's a very unusual texture for a phone, but supplies an excellent grip and some anti-slip properties. The Moto X features a power button on the right-hand side, which is done in a textured metal, and a volume rocker underneath the power button, which is done in a smooth metal. The entire side of the phone is done in this same metal, giving it an extremely premium feel. On the bottom, you have a micro USB charging port and some antenna bands. On the left-hand side, you will find absolutely nothing but some of that smooth metal. On the front, you have a 5.2-inch 1080p AMOLED display with 4 infrared sensors for motion sensing, a front-facing speaker at the bottom, an earpiece speaker at the top, and the 2-megapixel front-facing camera. On the back of the phone, you have the iconic Motorola dimple, which is a carryover from the previous generation. You have a microphone, a 13-megapixel camera with a unique dual LED flash, which is actually located in the camera ring itself, and on the top you have the 3.5mm headphone jack, the nano SIM card slot, and some more antenna lines. On the back of the OnePlus One, you will find the OnePlus logo, the CyanogenMod logo, the dual LED flash, and a 13-megapixel camera with a microphone in between the camera lens and the flash. The front houses the massive 5.5-inch IPS touch-on lens LCD display, an earpiece at the top, an LED notification light, the dedicated sensors, and a 5-megapixel front-facing camera. The physical capacitive buttons are on the bottom of the display. The display itself is slightly raised from the phone, giving it a unique look. On the bottom, you'll find the dual mono speakers and a micro USB charging port. The left-hand side has the volume rocker, which is made of plastic, nothing fancy, and the micro SIM card slot. The 3.5mm headphone jack can be found on the top of the device. On the right-hand side, you'll find the dedicated power button, which is also made of plastic. Due to the curvature of the Moto X, it is definitely a thicker phone, as you can see here. However, the OnePlus One is much taller, which is to be expected since it does have a 5.5-inch display. And you'll notice on the ends of the Motorola Moto X, before you get to the center curve, it's actually much thinner than the OnePlus One, and thanks to the smaller footprint of the Moto X, it's also lighter than the OnePlus despite it being made of much more metal. Overall, in terms of cosmetic design and the in-the-hand feel, I have to give it to the Moto X. It's a much more compact and easier to use phone with one hand. The nice curvature of the phone allows it to comfortably take the shape of your palm as you grip the phone, giving you an added sense of security when you use the phone without a case. The metal design lets you know you're holding a premium device, and if you get the wood design or a custom phone in general, it will separate you from the rest of the people. The OnePlus One, though not uncomfortable, can be a bit big, especially for people with small hands. While it does not feel cheap at all due to the weight and unique textured back, it does not hold up against the metal trim that wraps around the Moto X. One area where the OnePlus One does excel, though, is by supplying a better grip and is less slick thanks to the sandstone textured back. Over time, though, you'll see the sandstone change and it gets a little bit more slippier. The OnePlus One features a quad-core Snapdragon 801 processor clocked at 2.5 GHz, 3GB of RAM, and the Adreno 330 for graphics. Needless to say, this phone is crazy fast and responsive. Gaming is excellent on the phone. I have not encountered any issues with lag or performance. The same thing can be said about the Moto X, which features similar specs, including the same quad-core 2.5 GHz Snapdragon 801 processor, the Adreno 330 for graphics, but it only has 2GB of RAM. Again though, gaming on this phone is fantastic. You shouldn't have an issue with multitasking or any other task. Both of these phones run a near stock version of Android, which is currently Android 4.4.4 KitKat, and again, both phones fly. But that's about as far alike as these phones are in terms of software, because both have their own additions to the software. OnePlus going the more customizable route, running CyanogenMod 11S, allowing the user to pretty much customize anything and everything on their phone, allowing you to truly make the experience on the device match the user with a few helpful additions. While Motorola goes the more practical approach, making their add-ons much more functional by ensuring these things are things that you will use day in and day out. These include the wrist twist gesture that will activate the camera no matter where you're at in the phone, the motion detection to detect your hand waving over the display to give you a quick glance at your notifications or to silence a notification, and of course the touchless control, which is a genius feature allowing you to take full control over your phone with just your voice, and that is customizable as well. In terms of usefulness, the OnePlus really does not stand a chance against the Moto X in my opinion. You're entitled to yours. However, the OnePlus is a bit more snappier with performance despite it having a ton of customizations. So if functionality is your thing, then you might be happier with the Moto X. However, if you love tweaking your device and customizing it to your liking, then the OnePlus is definitely the way to go. Next up, speaker quality. The OnePlus One's dual mono speakers are loud, very loud, but when you hold the phone in landscape, your hands tend to cover the speakers involuntarily, which muffles the sound. Thanks to the Moto X's single front-facing speaker, this is avoided. However, laying both on the table and pressing play, the OnePlus One speaker is a bit louder without any obstructions. You will not be disappointed with the call quality on either phone, but I will say the Moto X's earpiece speakers seem to be slightly louder but not as natural sounding as the OnePlus during my testing. Between the two, I would probably go with the OnePlus One in terms of call quality, but it's not a huge difference. The Moto X features a 5.2-inch AMOLED display with a PPI of 423. Oh, and it does have Gorilla Glass 3. I love AMOLED displays and I love this display. The text is incredibly crisp and the colors are very poppy and oversaturated. My display runs a bit on the warm side when viewing solid white screens, and AMOLED panels are known for not having accurate color representation. However, I still love it. The OnePlus One has an IPS LCD touch-on lens display with a PPI of 401 and has Gorilla Glass 3 as well. The OnePlus One has one of the best displays on a smartphone to date, and the text and images almost appear like they are floating on the display. Also, it's important to note that the OnePlus One has incredibly accurate color reproduction. I have had two different OnePlus Ones and neither suffered from the yellow tint issue. In terms of viewing angles, however, the Moto X is a bit brighter and produces better viewing angles, but not by much. As much as I love the display on the Moto X, I don't really think it can compare to the display on the OnePlus One. Both make for a wonderful multimedia video viewing experience, and since they are relatively the same size screen, you will not be disappointed with either. But if you want to get picky, however, the experience on the OnePlus One will be slightly better due to the increased screen size, better color reproduction, and outdoor viewing. However, like I said with the sound, if you don't hold the OnePlus One correctly, you can muffle the sound due to the speaker placement. Both phones have pretty impressive battery life. The Moto X features a 2300 mAh battery, getting between 3 to 4 hours of on-screen time. The OnePlus One features a massive 3000 mAh battery, getting 4.5 to 6 hours of on-screen time. So let's talk about cameras. The Moto X features a new 13 megapixel camera with the flash embedded into the lens ring itself. Although really awesome to look at, it doesn't really exactly improve the performance. It would have been better if they would have put a standard single LED flash and maybe added optical image stabilization. Aesthetically, it looks pretty awesome and very futuristic though. The 2 megapixel front-facing camera is not impressive at all. The OnePlus One features a 13 megapixel camera as well, but in terms of the design, it is much more standard. It has a dual LED flash right below the lens, and the flash and the lens are both encased in a metal rectangle, giving it a little bit more protection from drops. On the front, you're looking at a 5 megapixel camera, which despite having a high megapixel count, doesn't seem to impress that much. On the software side, we're looking at the same carryover as the actual OS modifications. It's basically simplistic versus options. The Moto X has a very easy to use layout with minimal settings. Swiping to the right will bring you to your settings menu where you'll find options for HDR, flash, drag and drop focus and exposure point. Notice that I did not say points. You have your video options, which include 1080p slow motion, standard HD 1080p, and 4K UHD recording. You can turn on and off the panorama option. You have the ability to turn on geotagging. You can change your picture resolution from standard 4:3 to widescreen 16:3, which does affect the megapixel count. You can turn on and off the shutter sound, and you can also turn on and off the twist of the wrist gesture. First of all, let me just apologize for the rainbow looking display. It's a mixture picture of the sun's reflection in the ND filter I'm using. Anyways, back to business. The OnePlus One is packed to the rim full of different settings in which I do not plan on getting into full detail on. However, feel free to pause the video as I scroll or check out my OnePlus One full review. On the video side, you can change the quality from VGA all the way up to 4K DCI or true 4K. You have time-lapse features and different codecs. Lastly, you have some control options like using the power button to take a picture and etc. Like I said, it is a load. There's also a ton of different filters to choose from, such as HDR and clear photo. I'm not going to go through them all, just know there are a ton. I will say the OnePlus One definitely trumps the Moto X in terms of camera performance and software, and here's some sample shots just to prove it. Ultimately, you're not going to be disappointed with either of these devices. Both companies set out to bring you a flagship phone at a reduced cost, and both do an amazing job. They both hit the sweet spot between functionality and customization, one being the software customization while the other is more hardware. If you put me on a diving board and threaten to throw me in sulfuric acid unless I picked one, I would have to tell you to pick the OnePlus One, only because it's the budget flagship king. You definitely get the best bang for your buck with that phone, but I say this lightly. Keep a bottle of ibuprofen available in case you end up getting a headache with the process to get one. Well guys, I hope you liked this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. It really helps out the channel, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of my new content. And while you're at it, why don't you check out some of my older videos? You might like what you see. Follow me on all my social media networks to have a more one-on-one based chat with me, and don't forget to leave a comment below and let me know what you thought. Of course, as always guys, thank you for watching and all your support, and I'll see you in the next one.